All right, so we're going to go ahead and get started. I'm waiting for someone to join me. Tonight, we wanted to do a very special presentation, wanted to do a coaching session with you, a live coaching session, not with you, but for you. My daughter Jewell was going to join me. She volunteered to ask if she could do that with me tonight. And of course, I said yes to that. Because we're about to launch, in fact, in 2 days, we're going to open enrollment for the original design mental emotional wealth coaching program. You know, we're in this time and in this season when no one wants to say this or talk about this or really admit this, but the truth of the matter is that as a whole, as a country, as a people, and when I say as a people, I'm not talking about people of color because I'm a person of color. I'm talking about people on this planet. As a people on this planet, as a species on this planet, we are not mentally and emotionally well. And there are reasons that we're not mentally and emotionally well. And, you know, we're seeing the fallout of that in a lot of drastic ways. People doing drastic things, making drastic decisions, and you know, causing harm to themselves and causing harm to others as well. That's because not just them. You can say, well, they are not mentally and emotionally well, and that is true. But the reality of it is that we as a society, we as a people, are not mentally and emotionally well. And when I say well, I'm not looking from the standpoint of, well, we're sickness, the way we think about it. Sick, you're not well, you're sick. Yes, you can say that, but what I am referring to when I talk about being well, I'm referring to being as we should be, being as we're supposed to be, being as we were created to be, being as we were designed to be. And so there, if you've heard me talk about this, talk on this subject, then you know that there is a particular path or pathology that has led to mankind not being mentally and emotionally well. And so with that in mind, and thinking about where we've been over the past 3 to 4 years, the whole world has suffered a traumatic event. Now, here's the thing. It's not the first time that the world has suffered a traumatic event, right? There are traumatic events happening all over the world all the time. But, in 2020, COVID got our attention globally. And so it allowed many of us who had never seen or experienced anything like that to experience it in the now, in this time frame that we're in. And so it communicated a lot to me. I'm sure it communicated some things to you. And I've been sharing and talking about what it communicated to me. And I'm still talking about that, what I call pandemic fever. I feel like we are seeing the residue of what transpired during that time. And even more so, what was stirred up during that time. Nothing was born, but there were some things that were reborn. There were some things that were stirred up during that time and that season. And so our mental and emotional instability was stirred up during that time. And so now it becomes like, what are we going to do about that? What are we going to do about our mental and emotional instability? Well, I believe that every person on the planet is on the planet because they have a solution to a problem that exists. For me, this mental and emotional instability, which is, from my standpoint and my point of view, directly related to the absence of denial of or outright ignorance of purpose. Purpose makes everything make sense. Purpose causes us to understand things that we didn't understand before. And because this is something that's not just close to my heart, but it's a part of the fabric of who I am. It's my makeup. It's what I've been called to do. It's the subject matter that I have been commissioned to affect. It's the industry. It's this realm of knowledge that I've been called, specifically called, anointed, appointed, equipped, tagged to address issues in this area. And so when I talk about wellness, I'm talking about it from the standpoint of what we were created to do and what we were created to be, who we were created to be. And so our mental and emotional instability is directly related to our inability to come into agreement and into alignment with our original design. I talk a lot about that, and I will be talking even more about it. If you want to hear me talk more about it, hit me up, man. Send me a message. You know, we can have a conversation about it as it concerns your particular life. But I said that because what we're about to, in a couple of days, I'm going to open enrollment for the Original Design Mental Emotional Wealth Coaching. It's an 8-week coaching program. You'll commit 15 to 30 minutes a week. Not long at all, right? But the impact will be powerful. I want to read to you here while I'm waiting for my daughter to jump on and join me. I want to read to you here so you can get an idea of what this coaching will be like and what this program is like. So Original Design Mental Emotional Wealth Coaching is a specifically curated coaching program to reset your self-image, which is our frame of reference, to redesign emotional intelligence, which is our pattern of thinking, and to reboot our primary root system, which is our mode of operation. With the use of motivational poetry technology, Original Design Mental Emotional Wealth Coaching will fortify your mind with a resilience technique that protects the integrity of your purest, truest thoughts about yourself in relation to and alignment with your original design. And we'll produce a signature greatness conversation that supports you in your greatest times of emotional stress, allowing you to bounce back quickly from any setbacks. Everything begins and ends with an internal conversation. What's going on inside of here between our head and our heart? What's happening? What are we talking to ourselves and telling ourselves in this moment? Excuse me. All right. Sorry, I had to read something real quick there. So allowing you to bounce back quickly from any setbacks. Now that's powerful, okay? Especially given the backdrop of the things that we see happening in our world and in our country, okay? People are snapping because they don't know how to bounce back. They don't know how to handle their circumstances and their situations, right? So listen to this. Every human being has the innate ability to overcome any obstacle, endure any struggle, and outlast any trouble that gets in the way of their purpose. Everyone has that ability. Now, each person is born with a purpose, a powerful purpose. And everyone also is born with an innate set of skills to bring that purpose to pass. God didn't just put something on you without equipping you to do it. So if you have a purpose, you also have a set of skills that is necessary or that is to be used to bring that purpose to pass. Okay? Here's what happens. We call this, right, your original design, because you have a purpose and then you have been specifically equipped to bring that purpose to pass. Original design. Okay. Sadly, many people experience detrimental social conditioning or unfortunate life circumstances, right, These things will corrupt your original design, and they negatively impact your ability to enact your God-given right and potential as human beings. In other words, it keeps you from doing what you can do and being who you can be when your original design has been corrupted or compromised, right? A compromised original design will never allow any of us to be as efficient, as effective, as purposeful, as prosperous as God intended for us to be. Therefore, it becomes necessary to do the vital work of resetting, redesigning, and rebooting our mental and emotional well-being so that we can dominate in our circumstances, whatever they are, rather than be dominated in our circumstances, whatever they are. Okay? If you want to dominate in your circumstance, if you want to increase and strengthen your capacity, your mental and emotional capacity to not just go through or get through something, but how to actually dominate, how to come out of it on the other side better than you were when you went in it. Do you know that the worst thing that can happen to you, the worst thing that you can go through, you have the potential to be better on the other end of it than you were when you went in it? That's the potential, and that's the opportunity. Okay? And I want to say to you that regardless of what it is that you're dealing with right now, and regardless of what it may feel like, if you begin to look at it just with a different eye, from a different perspective, and look at it as an opportunity, I promise you, and I don't make promises, but I promise you that the weight of it won't feel like it feels now. See, when you feel hopeless, man, hopelessness is a heavy burden to carry. Okay? But hope lightens. Hope gives us insight. It gives us insight into where we are right now, and it strengthens us to be able to move forward. Okay? It gives us a sense of peace so that we can make good or quality decisions where we are, even if we're in the midst of turmoil, even if we're in the midst of trauma. Do you know you can make a good decision even when you're in the midst of trauma? So, well, how does that happen? It has everything to do with your perspective and everything to do with what drives you. Or can I say it this way? What you allow to drive you. Okay? See, sometimes we give up let's use this word just briefly. We give up our sense of control, or we give up our responsibility for where we are and what we're going through and what we're going to do about it. That's even better. We give up our responsibility for what we're going to do about where we are. And we'll say, well, it's not my fault. It may not be your fault. But if you're going to change it, it's going to be up to you. And you can change it by adjusting how you see it, by tapping into the power source that you have, and by allowing yourself to really tap into the wisdom, the knowledge, and the understanding that's available to you in that moment. You know, the Bible says in Proverbs that wisdom is crying out in the streets. Okay? Crying out in the streets. Wisdom is always there. We have to understand how to tap into it. And so these are some of the things that, you know, not being able to tap into that wisdom, not being able to operate out of our strength, even when we're in weak places, comes as a result of our mental and emotional instability, or our mental and emotional illness, ill health. It's a better word. I don't like using that word illness because people think you're mentally ill. No, our ill health. In other words, our health that's not what it's supposed to be. Our health that's not where it's supposed to be. And so this mental and emotional wealth has to do with restoring the wealth of our thinking and the wealth of our emotions so that we can understand how to use both of them, okay, in any and every situation to strengthen, to empower, and to advance us. That's what this coaching program is about. Now, I said a lot about this coaching program in just a short period of time. And you say 15 to 30 minutes a week, man, how are we going to do all of that? Oh, boy, we're going to do all of that in 15 to 30 minutes a week for 8 weeks. And I'll talk later about how ridiculously easy I made it for anyone who wants to participate in this program. Ridiculously easy, okay? So that's what the Original Design Mental Emotional Wealth Coaching Program is going to be about. But some of you have gone through versions of this. Maria, you've gone through a version of this, and there's a part of it that you, because I don't think you created your signature greatness conversation yet. And if you haven't, you definitely want to finish that part of it, because that's an important piece that comes out of this coaching program, is your signature greatness conversation. You say, well, what is that? I mean, we talked a little bit about that last week. Your signature greatness conversation is this. It's any combination of words, phrases, or statements that you make to yourself to get back to your strength quickly when faced with any obstacle, any struggle, any trouble that gets in the way of your purpose. Okay? It's what you say to yourself to bounce back from difficulty and setbacks. It's the foundation of your resilience and the voice of your truth. It's packed with laser-focused energy that keeps you moving onward and upward, and is infused with confidence in your uncompromised potential. Man, that's what's on the inside of you. Say, well, I've never seen, I've never heard, I've never used, I've never tapped into that. And that's why you need to be a part of this coaching program, so that you can catch a glimpse of what's really on the inside of you, and then learn how to begin to tap into that. All right? All right. Compliments and hugs. Thank you. I see you. Sarah Hober, thank you for joining. Jose Sines, thank you for joining. My brother. All right. Thank you guys who've joined us, who've hopped in on here. We're talking about the coaching program that we're going to be releasing in the next, the enrollment for this program starts on June 1st and will go through June 5th. It'll only be a 5-day enrollment. Okay, so you'll want to get in there, and if it's something that you want to, if you know someone, okay, who you know that they're not mentally and or emotionally well. And can I say to you that if you're not mentally well, by default, you're not emotionally well, and vice versa. If you're not emotionally well, by default, you're not mentally well, okay? Oh, no, I'm sick. I got to go see a psychiatrist. No. You need to see your maker. That's who you need to see. You need to see somebody. You need to get in contact with the one who made you, so that he can show you how beautifully and wonderfully made you really are, so that he can begin to introduce you to parts of yourself that you don't know exist, so that he can show you the strength that you never knew you had. Yeah. All right. So let's see. Is my Jewel on yet? Let's see what time. Okay, she's going to be jumping on in about 5 minutes. So what I want you to do is, if you know someone, if you or someone you know may be interested in this coaching program, just type. I can't say that word, type. Keep saying tap, but type in the chat, man. I'm interested in this program. I want to design my own signature greatness conversation. I shared my signature greatness conversation with you guys last week. I'll share it again here today. It is what helps me to get through the times and the tight places, the emotional stresses that I've gone through and that still come. They come. Those things come, right? The places where I would be depressed in, those opportunities still present themselves to me. I just have a system with which I deal with them. Okay? It's not that they're not there. They're still there. And if I let them in, they'll come in. And you know what they'll do? They'll come in and dominate my thinking and my feeling. But because I have a system of resilience, they're not allowed to dominate my thinking or my feeling. Okay? That's reserved. And what protects that space for me is, among other things, my signature greatness conversation. So my signature greatness conversation goes like this. I am one of the greatest, most influential, prosperous, and generous leaders of my generation. I am a wise man. I live by the wisdom, knowledge, and understanding that comes from above, and therefore I show up in the world as a solution to the problems my gifts address. I am bold as a lion, and I have everything I need to be everything I am and produce everything I can. My life is relevant because I'm living it in alignment with my original design. Therefore, I am every day, I am consistently and persistently walking out, living out the purpose that brought me into existence. That's what I tell myself. Okay? And so that helps me, that shifts my focus from whatever the pain or anguish or angst that I may be feeling at the moment. It shifts my focus from what I'm feeling to what I know. Okay? Now, this stuff is, I'm not talking about just coming up with some grandiose statements and concepts and about yourself. No, it needs to be aligned with and in alignment with the truth about who you are. Okay? And we can talk about that. We can discover that, help you to discover that. Okay? So your signature greatness conversation is packed with the truth about who you are. And I want to help you develop and design that for yourself. All right? Let's see. All right. Jewel says, I'm here. Hey, Jewel. All right. So pop on here. Let's get you on here. All right.
Hola.
Hello.
Hello. So sorry.
Hello. I see you had to get cutified, huh?
I had to cover myself. I was dyeing my hair, and so I'm looking crazy under here. I thought it was 8:30.
Nah, you good, man. You good. You good. You good. But you came on there. You look like your sister when you first popped on. I was like, wait, huh? It's probably
Sure.
that. It's probably
Sure.
that.
It's the hat.
Okay. So we've been talking about this greatness conversation, or signature greatness conversation. We talked about the coaching program. I was sharing with everyone what we're going to be doing. Hello, Antonio, the artist. We're sharing with everyone what we're going to be doing and opening the enrollment for this coaching, and we're going to do a little demonstration of what that looks like here tonight with you.
Yes.
You ready?
I'm sharing with some people. Yes, I'm ready. Sent. Okay.
Cool.
Back.
So this coaching is based upon motivational poetry technology. Okay. So motivational poetry technology has the ability to do four things. First of all, bring insight to the mind. Okay. Secondly, encourage the heart. Thirdly, inspire the will. And fourthly, to elevate the spirit. So that's insight to the mind, encouragement to the heart, inspiration to the will, and elevation to the spirit, right? So each one of these pieces, and the reason why the coaching is 8 weeks is because there are 8 specifically designed pieces that layer themselves, that as we go through it, you're building, okay, that platform that resets your self-image template or your frame of reference each week, adds another layer onto it. So the first one we start with I am purpose. Okay. You got that piece in front of you?
2 seconds.
Okay. So I'm so excited about all of you being on here and joining. Thank you for, hey, Latoya, good to see you. Antonio, good to see you, man.
Look
Haven't
what I
talked to you
got.
in a little bit. Oh, she got the original, A Dreamer's Diary.
Yes.
That's awesome. That was my second book. Ah, I think the reprint of that was 2008, maybe something like that. I think that's right. But yeah, all of these pieces are in that. I think all of them in there. Yeah, all of them are
Yes.
in that book as well.
So is this
Uh,
one purpose, the first order?
no, I am purpose.
I am purpose.
Yep,
Hmm.
yep,
I don't see
I
it.
am purpose.
Oh, there's so many more. Okay, hold on. Let's see. I was only looking at the first page. Okay, I've got it.
All right. So before you begin, let me set the platform for everyone. So what I'm having Jewel to do is she's going to first of all read this piece. Okay. Uh, and allow her mind to be exposed to the words. Now, when I say allow her mind to be exposed to the words, how many of you ever read something before and your mind, you were reading it, but your mind wasn't engaged with it? Okay, so allowing your mind to be exposed to the words, that means you're engaging with the poem as you're reading. So that means that when you come across something that moves you one way or the other, whether it makes you happy, whether it makes you sad, whether it seems like I can do that, or whether it seems like that's a challenge, whatever the emotion is, you let it happen, right? Okay, so she's going to read this piece like that. All right, and then we're going to talk about it. I'll ask her some questions based upon what I'm seeing and sensing as she's reading it and what I'm hearing when she reads it, and we'll just talk that process through. All right, okay, Jewel.
Okay. I was an idea created in the mind of God. I soon became a word spoken out of his mouth. Not long after, I became a seed implanted in my daddy's loins. I went on to become a living, breathing creature sown into my mother's womb. It was just a matter of time before I became a functioning organism delivered into the world. And now I am an idea in reality, a word in action, a seed in growth, a creation in process, an organism at work, a purpose being fulfilled.
Nice. So, talk to me first and foremost about any word that stood out to you, or anything when you read it, it felt bumpy or it felt smooth, you connected with it, or it felt like you couldn't connect with it. Any of that came to your heart and mind.
Honestly, the whole last part that says, and now I am, I
Mm-hmm.
think that um, I think that I don't want to say it's hard to connect with. I think that it's very real right now, specifically like um, a seed in growth and a creation in process. I think it's hard to connect with um, a purpose being fulfilled somewhat and an idea in reality. Um, because of feeling like I'm still in a place of growing and because I'm still in process, if that makes any sense.
Okay. So, recognizing that you are still in process, are you
Mhm.
able to pinpoint a place that you are in anywhere in the poem that you said, well, God, that's kind of where I am in that process?
Well, I don't know where I am.
Okay, that's fair enough.
I know I'm
That's
in a
fair enough.
process. I
That's
know I've been
fair
in a
enough.
transition for, it feels like a long time, but when I sit back, I realize it's only been about a year and a half. And so, yeah, sometimes I'm not sure where I am in the process. I know I'm in a process, and sometimes I'm not sure what like the end looks like, if that
Okay.
makes sense. I think
Oh,
that
it makes a lot.
to add, I think I'm generally a big picture type of person, and I've always been like goal oriented and been able to see the end. And so the process or the things that I may go through as the journey goes are okay, or they're worth it, or I rationalize them, or I can get through difficult times, or maybe things that don't make sense because I have a end goal. And lately I'm not sure, so it makes the process a little bit more clouded.
Okay. So I'm going to ask two questions.
Mm-hmm.
But first of all, what determines where you are in the process? The events that happen around you or the events that happen within you?
I feel like it should be what's happening within me, but many times what's happening around me has kind of caused me to question where I am in the process.
Okay. So that means that the possibility that you may allow external things to define internal things for you exists.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Do you think that allowing external things to define internal things is a trajectory that will keep you moving in this direction? You know, this poem starts from a point, right? I was an idea, and then now I am. So it's an obvious journey, and it's an obvious trajectory, because you got I was, and then I became, and then not long after that, I became something else, and then I went on to become, and then it was just so there's not just a progression, but there's a connection between each phase of this piece,
Mm-hmm.
right? Now, if you look at the beginning part of this piece, do any of those things, I was an idea, I soon became a word, not long after I became a seed, I went on to become a living, breathing creature, and it was just a matter of time before I became a functioning organism. Do you think any of those things were controlled by external circumstances, or was that an internal thing?
I think this was an inevitable process, and like it said, it was a matter of time
It was
before.
a matter of time.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of like a seed, right? A seed has everything it needs on the inside of it to become whatever it's supposed to be. In fact, whatever it's supposed to be is in that seed. Okay, in seed form, it's there. So if you look at, an orchard, right? That whole orchard was once in one seed, and that seed became more seeds, right? And so it became more trees and more fruit. But all of that at one point was in one seed. Okay? And so the idea that God had in mind, you have to be able to or willing to connect God's idea for you with whatever it is you are now. I am reality, I am action, I am the growth. You've got to connect his idea with that, because that's where it started from. And in that idea was all of the stuff that happens after, and now I am. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So this becomes just like a seed. You put it in the ground, okay, to protect it as well as to nurture it and to grow it, right? Now, when you discover that you became an idea that was created in the mind of God, and whatever you are now, you're still connected to whatever that idea was that God had. Now that has to be protected. Because if it's not protected, then you expose it to the external influences that could possibly corrupt the process. And the process, because this, has everything to do with you realizing who you are. That's why it's called I am purpose. I say this often. The greatest revelation in the earth today is the I am revelation. When you discover who you really are, right? It changes everything. It changes how you see everything. It changes your approach to everything. It changes how you handle everything. And so this piece directs our frame of reference so that we can go back to where it started from and now allow that to be what drives you, right? Well, this is how I started out. Now, what did God have in mind? Well, now you got to spend some time with God and kind of get an idea of what did he have in mind when he released you. And he starts speaking to you. He'll speak to you through others. Okay. He'll speak to you through his word, certainly. He'll speak to you through your own gifts, your own talent, your own ability, because those are things that God has used to communicate to you who you really are. Okay. So those things have to be protected, right? That's what the signature greatness conversation is all about, to protect who you really are. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Right? So that when you read this and you're going through difficulty, or you recognize that you're not where you want to be or should be or could have been or whatever, right? When you read this, it does nothing less than empower you, because you begin, this is who I am. I may not be there yet, but this is who I am. So it empowers you. Does that make sense? Yep. Right. So the homework from this is to be able to stand in the mirror and look at yourself. Eyeball to eyeball. I like to get close to the mirror so I can actually see myself in my pupils. I know it's kind of corny, but it's powerful too, right? If you get close enough to the mirror, you can actually see yourself looking at yourself, right? It's like, wow, it can be creepy or powerful. But it really is powerful, because the reason why I coach that way is because you're speaking to your soul. You're speaking to your own self. People like to ask the question, what would you say to your 10-year-old self? I ask the question, what are you saying to yourself now? Mm-hmm. What are you saying to your however old you are self right now? That's more important than what you would say to your 10-year-old self. 10-year-old self is gone. Whatever you would say to him is irrelevant. What's relevant is, what are you saying to yourself right now? Right? And so you develop, set your frame of reference so that when things happen, your thoughts don't go back. See, what your thoughts will do is your thoughts will go to whatever negative there is to go to, and remind you of the negative instead of reminding you of the positive. That's why you reset it, so that and retrain your thoughts to go right to that positive. Automatic, go right there. That's what the signature greatness conversation does, right? It becomes a thing that your thoughts always go back there. Whatever happens, boom, go right there. This is who I am, right? And that protects the integrity of who you really are. See? And that keeps circumstances and situations from taking their toll on you. That keeps you out of that place that keeps us out of that place where we're moving out of what we feel. No, we move out of what we know. We feel what we feel, and we never try and disregard or downplay or suppress our feeling. No, we let the feelings happen. We just don't operate out of the feeling. We operate out of what we know to be true. Okay. And in that way, we utilize the emotions, utilize the feelings to enhance our decisions, not to make our decisions. Does that make sense?
Right.
Okay. What else may have stood out to you? Anything else?
Yeah, no, I think it's just going to be about repeating the whole thing, but specifically that last part to myself and believing it, like you said, like looking at myself and repeating it until it's, a reality. And I think it's, I know that the end goal is to create that signature greatness conversation. I think that having that default to go back to when negative thoughts come or when thoughts of doubt come, that's going to be like a real game changer. I guess for me while I'm in, this process. And I mean, I feel like there's always going to be something, and there's always going to be a process, and there's always going to be, and so that's why I definitely see the value and the importance of creating that conversation and just knowing why I'm originally here. And even though God will do different things in different seasons with you, having that default, like you said, and is going to make a big difference, I feel.
Yeah. It really does. And as you are internalizing, because that's the process that you're actually doing. You're internalizing what you are reading. You're not just reading it. It's almost like you're reciting it to yourself. And in doing that, the process of being in the mirror and looking in your own eyes is you're speaking to your own soul, and therefore you are internalizing these concepts, not just the words, but the concept that I am a purpose. See, once that concept takes hold of you and you take hold of it, that's when you see change in how your thoughts land and where your thoughts land. You see change in even how your emotions impact you. They don't go away, but how they, sometimes it seems like the emotion can be so strong, just like, man, I gotta, but you start having that sense of power, right? Being empowered to not act out of the strength of an emotion, but to act out of the depth of what you know. Okay. Yeah. Yes, you want to say something?
I was just gonna say, I think I thankfully have the emotional intelligence enough not to act out of a lot of the emotions. But what is even more so important, and you talk about it all the time, is really your thoughts about yourself. And that's really what I'm looking forward to, I guess, correcting throughout this process, because you can consistently make sure you're checking your emotions and not acting out on them, but then it's all up here. And that can feel like torment, or that can feel like you're going crazy, trying to consistently cast down thoughts and not act outwardly on them. And so I think I'm not perfect at it, but for the most part, I have a hold on taking a second before I act on things, but then it just stays in here, and that's not
you
fit.
internalize it. Yeah. And see, that comes that word internalize. Instead of internalizing this, you internalize those negative feelings about yourself. And that is acting on them too. You're just not acting out, you're acting inwardly. Same, maybe even more damaging when you act inwardly with that stuff. That's the stuff that many holistic doctors will tell you, that's the stuff that causes diseases in the body. Now, that's not the only thing that causes diseases, but that does too, and we certainly know that it causes mental dis-ease, okay, and emotional dis-ease. In other words, we're not mentally and emotionally well, okay, and we need to be well In order to live well, you got to be mentally and emotionally well. Do you know that you can be mentally and emotionally well even with ailments in your physical body? Okay? But you can have the strongest physical body and still be mentally and emotionally ill.
Yeah.
Okay? So it's more important to be mentally and emotionally well than it is to be physically well. Okay? And so that's what we're talking about doing there. So that's the kind of process. I hope you guys kind of got a feel for that. Ask me some questions if you want to know some questions about it. If you're interested, again, in this coaching program, man, make sure you let me know in the chat. Put in there, I'm interested in this program. Or I know someone who will be interested in this program. This will be perfect for someone that I know or love or whatever the case is. Just make sure you communicate that to me. We are going to be opening enrollment for this plan, this program in 2 days. The 1st through the 5th is going to be the enrollment period. So you want to make sure you get in that time frame. Y'all listen, we've made this thing so easy to get into because I want to help people. Okay, $10 a week. Did I just say $10 a week? I did. I said $10 a week. 8-week program. Do you know how much this thing costs? If I charge my coaching fee is $125 an hour, right? So if you just do not to even mention the material itself, just do just the coaching hours, okay? It'd be a $600-700 program easily, okay? $10 a week. Did I say $10 a week? I did. I said $10 a week. It's ridiculously easy because I want to help people. So, I want it to be such that the money wouldn't be an issue. No, we need to be well. We need to be well. And we need to help others be well. Okay? Make America great. No, let's make each other great. Let's make people great. Let's restore humanity. Let's restore sanity to humanity. Okay, let's restore our minds. Let's restore our emotional stability. Let's restore our ability to love. Love involves giving, more giving than taking. Okay, I'm not going to get on that soapbox, but anyway. So that's it, man. I don't know if you guys have any questions. Any questions? Put your question in the comment about anything that we've shared. If you want to share something concerning anything, if you had some things pop off in your heart and or mind as Jewell was reading that piece and as we were talking about it, put it in the chat, man. I'll hit you up on the side and we can talk about it. If you want to do a strategy session with me, again, put it in the chat. So I want a strategy session. I'd like to talk more about this. I'll be more than happy to do that. I'll send you my calendar and we can talk about it, man. I'll help you in whatever way I can. And that's what we want to do, is be able to help you in the ways that we can help you. All right. Jewell, you got any other questions or comments about this thing, man? I think we're at the top of the hour.
Yeah. You said my homework is to recite this daily in the mirror. And then what do I have to look forward to in the next session? Yes.
So the next session, you get to look forward to another piece where we'll do the same thing, right? Because each one is layered. Now, what I want you to do also is write any statements about yourself. At least one statement about yourself relative to this piece, but you write it in the positive format. Okay, I am, or I will, or I can, or I do, or okay, from that point of view. So at least one statement that's relative to this piece or something in it about yourself. Because what we're gonna begin doing is intravenously writing your signature greatness conversation. If you make at least one statement each time, okay, by the time we get to the end of the process, you can look back at the statements and you pretty much got your signature greatness conversation right there. May need to reword it, reframe it, restructure it, or whatever, but you got the content for your signature greatness conversation. So that's the other part of it. So in the mirror, at least once a day, okay? And how long did it take you to read that piece? A minute? 2 minutes tops of that,
Yeah.
okay? So it's very little commitment, but that's the key word, commitment, right? Yeah, doing that once a day, and at some point make a at least one statement relative to this piece about yourself in the positive. And you know, and once you make that statement, I don't even have to tell you to review it, because you're going to want to review it. You're going to want to look back at that statement, and you're going to want to keep reading that statement to yourself. It's like it's a natural thing that you're going to want to do. So yeah, and the next time we'll take the next step forward with the next piece that builds on and layers on this piece here.
Okay.
All right.
That's good.
Antonio asked a question. What are your favorite scriptures that support some of what you are sharing here today? Hey man, Proverbs.
Where do you see it?
That's Proverbs 18 and 21. Life and death are in the power of the tongue. Okay. That's one of my faves, man, right? Another one of my faves is Proverbs, I think it's the next 19, no, 25 and 11, I think it is, okay? I mean, I'm going to paraphrase this one. The right word spoken at the right time, okay, brings life. The King James says it this way. A word fitly spoken in due season is like apples of gold in pictures of silver. Another way of saying the right word at the right time brings life. Okay, so yeah, those are a couple of the scriptures. That was Proverbs 18:21 and Proverbs 25 and 11. I think I'm right about that. All right. So yeah, there are plenty of them that I have used over time to build my signature greatness conversation. And that's the other part of it. Thank you, Antonio, for asking that question. That's the other part of it, because I said that as you're developing, and all of these pieces are directly written strategically from the word of truth. Okay, so this is not just something, you know, that oh, let's say some good things or some positive things about ourselves. No, these are things that are rooted and grounded in truth. Okay? And so that's what you want to be able to build upon, is a foundation that's rooted and grounded in truth, so that it doesn't feel like that you just fabricated something, you know, and then you can't really even stand on it because you don't even really believe it anyway. No, we're standing on the truth. Okay. All right, cool beans, man. All right, well, thank you guys. Oh man, it was an awesome session. Thank you, Jewel.
Thank you.
For volunteering. And by the way, guys, you can volunteer. I'll do this with you as well. You don't have to be in the program. I'll do a session with you just like this. We'll do it on Ask Pastor Tim. Or if you want to do it privately, you can hit me up privately and say, I would like, you know, a complimentary session. I'll do a complimentary session with you. I'll be glad to do that. Just let me know. All right? All right. Thank you guys again, man, for coming on and joining us tonight. It's been a pleasure for me. And remember, as always, I'd like to leave you with this thought, that you should always live full so that you can die empty. Thank you and good night.